Hello my vacuum cleaner chums, how are you? You can see the brown carpet of disassembly and the toolbox of many tools, and just there you might be able to see the subject of today's lecture. Well, that's what this is, a lecture, not an instructional. Yes, we are going to take apart this Turbopower. So I have an empty box for the little bits, a screw card that I have used earlier. We are going to take apart this magnificent Turbopower boost. So, how do we take apart Turbopower? Well, as everything, first we should take the tools off. So we'll take the wand off, then we take the hose off, which is clipped in. Says not having a little tiny screwdriver in hand. Am I going to have to pause and find it, or is it here? I'm going to have to pause and find a little screwdriver. We're doing well so far, aren't we? Not even a minute in. Found it. Because at the back of the hose is a little spring clip, which once you push it back there, the hose will simply come out. And there is a Turbopower hose removed, so I'll pop that down there with the wand. We'll take off the three tools and pop them in the wash bucket, which is just out of shot there. So the next thing we're going to need to do is take off the bag door. Now, I should put the bag out. Bag door does have some hinges there and there, which you can pop out, but I would not advise it at this stage because it is very, very easy to snap them. What I do is recline the machine back. Right, it's in the way now. And if you open up the hinge, you can see there's two screws that actually hold the hinge down to the machine. And it's much easier if you take out these screws first and remove the entire bag door with this hinge. There's two. Third one down here. There we go. And the whole door lifts off like so. So we'll take these screws out. We'll pop them in the bag door hinge holes. And now we can see a bit more closely, it says, the hinges. There they are, there's one there and there's one there. And you then can much more easily get with a screwdriver and push them down and pull them up, but be very careful because it is likely to break. But we get a longer flathead screwdriver. Because you don't want to break the back door. There's one. And there is the other. A short twist with a screwdriver. Oh, where did I get the angle right last time? Behind the back corner of the hinge does pop it out. And then you can pull the entire trunnion cover off. And it's much easier than trying to do that with it on the machine. Then you squeeze these two tabs here and the whole hinge pulls out of the vacuum cleaner part. I don't know what this is called, hinge assembly probably. And there we go. Into the wash they go. Right, let's take out this non-genuine air freshener. That's gone. And then we're going to remove the screw that holds the bag door latch on. Just here. Oh, can't see. We should mark out where I need to be so you can see stuff. There we go. And once that's out, the whole thing just comes apart like that. That doesn't come out at ease very easily, if at all, without breaking something, so we leave that in there. And that is the back door done. Right. Let us now take out, or take off the handle cover, but first I think we need to take the bag fill tube out, because there's a screw stuck behind it. So there's one screw here, and one screw here for the bag fill tube, and that literally just pulls out, and then just take the little pipe off of the fill tube, and I always take out the little rubber bung just to clean it a bit easier. So that's the first thing for our parts bucket, because that will wash down the sink very easily. And now we can take out 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 screws, like that. Lovely. Let's pop those in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this cover should now just lift straight off. You may or may not have those foam pads. I don't always see them. That one's hanging off anyway, so we'll take that one. We'll take them both off and we'll glue them back on afterwards so they don't get lost. Marvellous. Now we can see all the wiring which sits in there. God, that's annoying. So in fact, the first thing we need to do is flip this over. It's very fragile now, that hinge base isn't in there. Pull the cable off a bit, and there's a big screw under here. Just here. There's a smaller screw in the actual handle itself, so you've got handle top, handle bottom, and then the handle just pulls off like so. Then, this sticker is over where we need to be, so we do need to remove this sticker, which probably isn't original to the machine, because underneath this sticker is this little plastic peg. Where are we? There. And just ever so gently, so you don't scratch the handle, pull it out like so, and that releases the wiring plug inside. So now we can pop the switch out. Remember that plus goes at the top, minus goes at the bottom. Take out all 3 wires, so blue goes via plus, blue goes by plus, red goes by minus, brown in the middle. Okay, and then the whole plug assembly will pull out like so. There is under here, can't really show you, that's the diode for the boost setting. And there we go, we don't take anything else off of there. The roundel is nicely stuck on, so we shall leave that nicely stuck on. I'm going to flip this back over to remove the cord reel assembly. Down here is a wiring block, and we need to remove for now these wires which go up to the AutoFlex assembly. Now we're not taking the AutoFlex assembly apart here because it works really, really well. So I'm afraid I won't be showing you. You can take them apart to replace the cable, but we're not going to be doing that in this video. Gosh, now that's annoying. They've crimped the neutral wires together. So we might have to change our tactics here ever so slightly. And actually move, because we need to take those wires out from the motor, because then I haven't got to cut anything. So we shall jump a bit, because this is not how I usually do it. jump a bit to taking the base plate off, like so. 3, 5. There's base plate 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Might have seen a little bit of persuasion. There we go. Right, very nice condition base plate. Full of dirt though, there. And here. So we'll get rid of that. Everything else should wash up fine. Then we'll take the activator out for now, which... oh, that's very dry. Ah, we have a genuine Hoover belt fitted. Judging by the state of how it ran on the before video, that's probably the original Hoover belt. We'll pop that there and we'll compare it later. Because now we need to find the 2 screws that sit in either channel that hold the hood on. So we can pop the hood. So, 1, 2, there we go, that's hood. Ah, we also need to pull off the height adjustment knob. There we go. I can't actually remember if the bulb worked. Ah, well if it did, bugger. If it did, it was very fragile because look, I just cracked that fully. Let me go and just, I only just about touched that, so let me go put this in the bin. So we need to add bulb to our putting together list. Right, anyway, now we can see, oh god, what was that? Why is everything going wrong? This little clip's just popped out from somewhere. Ah, that's this goes here. So I'll pop it back in there for now. Well, no, we won't, because that is broken. Ah. Ooh. This is going to need to be glued in. This clip should sit in that channel there, but the plastic is cracked. So we need to be very careful. It should go back in. But we'll glue that in on reassembly. This is the hood actually. We may as well finish off the hood. Because never take the lens out. Because these plastic tabs snap and that's game over then. Because any from a replacement hood will snap as well, so never take those out. And what I was going to show you initially were those 2 wires there. These wires here are what goes to the suppressor, which doesn't go bang. You don't need to desuppress for a turbo power. But brown to red and blue to black. And then it simply pulls through here. And then all we need to do is to remove the 2 wires that go from the switch and bag full indicator. Like so. 1, 2. And then in a minute we can actually take the full rewind out. We'll come up here first though. Because up here, in fact, I know what I'm going to do first. We're going to take off this, we're going to split the unit. So we need to undo those 2 screws there and those on the other side of the pivot point, because then I haven't got to keep picking the entire machine up to show you stuff. This is a good idea, isn't it? So we've got hinges, 1. See how I'm going to ship it as well. Steve, you are going to have to pop the hood off, feed the wire back through there and plug it in, and then screw these back down, because I'm not shipping it whole because it will break. And I think you're technically savvy enough to be able to put this together, I think. So there we go, so there's the 2 hinges. And now, in theory, we just lost the recline switch, but that's fine. Wiggling around the bellows, we can split the unit. Well, there's the height, the recline switch. That can come off, and now we can start to take all of this bit apart. And what we need to do, basically, is take those two plugs off. This pushes out, that pulls out, then that pulls up and out, and then we can de-wire the whole thing. So we shall pop the two connectors off here like that. You can't really see what I'm doing, but it might look better on a big screen. It looks rubbish on my phone. There we go, and then simply push this up and down. Don't be tempted to try and lever it too much from here, because you might pull the red bit off, saying that I have just done it successfully. But do exercise caution. And there we go, that is the bag full light. With that off, the part that actually holds the sensor for the bag full light comes out, and then there's two clips that hold the handle plug in place, and that pulls out. And there we go, the top is de-wired, which is very nice indeed. Which will take the little tube out, because I flushed that through with water just to clean it up, and we'll also take out the sensing module. Now we can get back to doing the Autoflex module itself, which is held in with 3 screws, one of which sits under there. So we just pop this little cap off, like so. Ow. Just caught my finger. It will come out eventually, or you can just punch through it and get to the screw that way. You don't need to go back. It's not needed for anything in particular. It just hides the screw, so we'll dig it out. It's not going to come cleanly. There we go. That might go back in. We'll leave it there. And there's a screw under it. Now full of flipping swarf. There we go. There's one screw, then there's 2 screws at the top that hold the rewind mechanism brake. This is one of those units that will constantly try and pull the cable back unless a brake is applied. So once that's out, we should just be able to lever up this part. I'm hoping that the plug comes through, because if it doesn't, we're in trouble. Because I don't want to cut the plug off. There we go. And there we have one complete Hoover Autoflex unit. Like I said, you can take these off, you pull that out, and then there's a screw that holds that in, but it isn't advisable. And this does work very, very well indeed. And because I don't want to cut the plug off, we also can't take that bit apart. Normally on the ones that haven't got a fitted plug, you can. But because I don't want to knacker the plug, because this is a beautiful plug, you can also possibly see how that works. It's not going to do it. There we go. So we'll put the cable back in. And then basically none of that can be washed, which is fine. It's not exactly dirty, is it? Now I'm missing a screw. There it is. So we'll put those up here, because this screw card is from a non-Autoflex Turbopower, but that is the only difference at all, so that's fine. Gosh, we're actually nearly done now on this part. We'll take out the chocolate block. That going there. Then we'll remove the tool holder. Now these can seize in, so be very ginger, because if you round it out again, you have to get a part from a breaker, and there aren't many breakers, especially of this colour. This is one of the rarer colours. Any collector who has one probably isn't breaking it for spares. And because these screws go into a metal bush, the other side, they can seize in. So yes, do be careful. These though are fine. So I'll pop those there. There's the tool holder off, revealing an incredibly filthy, so that's probably never been cleaned, back. And there's 4 more here. 1, 2. That crack is the initial, because this has been in place since serious in 94, it's probably been assembled a bit before. That's the screw just breaking its seal stiction. There we go. We have a completely stripped rear chassis. This is very nice. This is the part that always goes on a Turbopower, the trunnion. This is in good condition, so that's fine. Oh, I know what we can take out. The blanking plate for what would have been the bottom core hook if it had one. Here's the tool holder with decades of fluff in it. Lovely, and we shall pop the tool tray screws in here because we'll know where they go. Onto this part now, so I'm just going to pause, reposition the camera a bit so you're not quite so far away. Right, onto the motor now, which isn't actually quite a simple affair. It is held in with one big clamp on this side, called, funnily enough, the motor clamp. Or as I call it anyway, the motor clamp. So I'll pop those 2 screws in there, those screws are all falling out, and the whole thing just lifts up and out, like so. This piece of foam isn't usually stuck down anymore, which is good, because we can wash it. There's a rubber seal there, take all the filth out, and then to get to the height adjuster, there is a screw here. They're not always screwed, so don't worry too much if your one isn't. But that comes out, and then underneath, now we need to release the big spring. It's not a sprung, it's just a big spring. 1, 2, and that pulls out, and the whole thing pulls up and pulls off. Now I never take these apart because those are buggers, so I'll leave that there, and then that part lifts out because we've already had it apart. Now on a total system Turbopower total system, this is the bit that makes it a total system. There's an arm on this part here, and when it's in place, I'll show you quickly. When you put it into tool mode, it pushes, obviously it doesn't try and fall out, it pushes that bit up against there, which blocks off the suction to the floor head and diverts it up to that hole there to the tools. And that just lifts out and its spring comes off. So we'll take that off and its little spring. We'll take the wheels off now, and again I won't impose to get the wheels on because they are very, very fragile, and the best way to take the glamour caps off is to look behind and push. There's 3 tabs. Push them out, and then you won't snap off a tab. And hope... oh, right, we can't take the wheels off. Bugger. Sometimes they've got a very nice circlip on them, but this hasn't. This has got one of these horrible spring clips, so I'm just going to have to package it up very, very well indeed. So we'll take the other cap off. Damn, there's more filth there and there. The belt guard just lifts out with more dust, and the bumper slides off from the top like so. That's what was making all the squeaky noise. That's been rubbing against there for years. So that's a bit of a shame, but we can't do much. I'm really annoyed about those wheels because I like to take them off. Oh well, can't do out about that. Let's get on to the motor itself. The first thing we'll need is a pair of snips to snip off the big cable tie that holds the bellows on. That then sort of just levers off eventually. There we go. Really lots more filth. Check they're not split. They have a habit of splitting. You can still get them very easily on eBay. Take off the rubber and the clamp, and then we need to release these spring clips here that hold the fan case on. I always find there's one missing. They never put a whole complement on, so don't worry too much. There's one. They only come off from one end. Hold your finger over it to stop them flying across the room and smashing something, like that they did. I didn't smash something, but we nearly lost it. And then you can remove the fan case. Now, Hoover sometimes sealed them up. Didn't always, did sometimes. This one has been, but it's so old that look, it's just falling off. So we're going to put some fresh sealant on there. Now we can get to the fan, which is actually spinning quite nicely. It isn't cracked and it isn't perished. Now to get the fan off, on the back of the belt spindle is a slot for a screwdriver. So you put your screwdriver in there, and then it'll only go one way, and the fan will twist off like so. Then it may or may not come out. There's a washer there, but that's not going to come out now, so we can ignore that. Ooh, I'm just seeing what's coming. Next, unplug the two wires and release them from their little clip holders. Then we need to mark. I always mark the position of the wires, especially on a turbo power, because it just makes reassembling it so much easier. So you get a little Sharpie, and we'll put a B here. This shouldn't wash off. B and then R for brown and red, and here we shall put R for red. What I then do with a small screwdriver, because this has to go on one way for all the holes to line up, you find yourself a suitable point and you put deep scratch all the way through both sides. So when we put it back together, we can line up that deep scratch there, and we'll know that everything is aligned. Clever, isn't it? So we'll take out, we can pull everything off now because we know roughly where it's going to go. So there's that, which can go there. There is one screw holding the light socket in place, which can go there. We'll put that there, and then that simply pulls off, and there's all of our wires. And now, the earlier ones have a cross thread, these don't. Oh, I know what we'll do, we'll take out the suppressor / junction box. So you don't need to remove those. I've never known one of those blow ever on a turbo power. We can remove the 4 screws that hold the top cover onto the motor. They're quite long screws, one, and they bite from the beginning as well, so you can't just sort of push them most of the way down. You do have to wind them all the way out, thread by thread. Or this is where a battery screwdriver will come in handy, but I don't have one. I should use my socked feet. Somebody commented on my socked feet on the DC-19 video. Well, I do wear socks, I have feet, so I have socked feet. Not quite into it in that way, but fair play if you are. Have a freebie from somebody that doesn't really care. 2, 3. I'm also not colour coordinated. I've just come back. You'll probably see this after actually my Freedom video. So Freedom's in the box over there. We'll use that in a minute to clean up. Oh, there's a cable tie there. Where's there a cable tie there? I must have fallen out the bellows. Here we go. And then that will lift off there like so. Let's pop that back down there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in the top of the motor housing is a spring and a washer. So we'll take those out. There's also a metal insert where the bearing runs, but I never bother taking those out. And there we go. Next we shall take out the carbon brushes, and these brass tabs have a habit of snapping. Whether they will or not now, I don't know. You do have to be ever so gentle. No sudden movements, or they go. And we can see that the carbons have a fair bit of life in them, which is good. They do snap. There is a cheat, which I'll show you later. I've had to do it on a few. So there you go. So there's the two alright carbons. There'll be a few years left in those, especially since this is going to a collector. The two spacer washers have decided to make an appearance. I don't know what I'm seeing. And now the whole armature will pull out. Very nicely indeed, revealing a very free spinning but very dry bearing. So we shall get it in here. My bearing puller, and this screwdriver fits, I think. Yeah, I've lost a little bar that goes with it, and I usually be socket set, but I haven't got that on me at the minute. We don't need it, so we shall take the bearing off. Right, so these bearing pullers are great. I've had so much use out of this, and on the car as well. I only bought it for vacuum cleaners, but I got it from the car. So you centre it up like so, and then you basically twist it. And when you wind it in, it pulls the bearing up. And eventually it will just go. It doesn't take much. There you go. And you can pull the bearing off. So we have one dry bearing. The top bearings are actually usually the okay ones. Now that's off, we can, I think, you can, there we go, remove the cooling fan. And this was not too bad actually, but when you get a really bad sounding turbo power or turbo master, that is complete. I've seen it so you can't see the fins before. That was actually not too bad. And the next thing we need to do is, once I pick some fluff off of this, take out the coil. But the coil, there's a green pen there, is held in to the carbon brushes. So what you have to do is flick out, and I'll show you where they go. You have to remove those two connectors from those two prongs. If you just pull it, you can snap it. I've snapped one before. I had to solder it back together. So there we go. One very filthy, actually, coil. I'll have to clean that up. Put that over there. Can't wash the armature. Don't need the bearing puller anymore. To remove the carbon holders, you push down on this tab here, and then they just push out. Like almost so. There we go. And then once it's pulled out, just flick it back up so it stands proud and loud again. So there's one. Oh, it's raining again. I got caught up in a massive rainstorm a few hours ago, and it seems to be here now. So there's the carbon holders. And the last thing we need to do to the motor is remove the fan case bearing. Now this does have a horrible spin clip on it, but because it's in plastic, you can, and even if it breaks, it's actually not the end of the world because it's held in with the actual motor once it's together. So you just work around it. It will bend. This one's just snapped, but it will come out. And like I said, as long as that vaguely goes back in, you'll be okay. Next we can remove Now this one's seized. One seized up fan case bearing. It's always the fan case bearing that knackers itself, because it's one that gets all of the abuse from the fan when all the dirt clatters around it. Agitator next. Activator. Not too much fluff around the end caps on this one, that's good. Oh look, there's a magnet. There's a little tiny magnet on there, that shouldn't be on there. Might be handy though, we'll keep it. I wonder, you know, I was moaning the other day about my screwdriver not working. Dyson Torx driver. Anyone know? There it is. I wonder if I pop that on there, whether it will now hold a screw. Ooh! It held it anyway, but look, if I put that there, that holds that much, but obviously it's not going to hold it fantastic because it's not a Torx bit. Oh, I might keep that on there. That might work. Anyway, we'll withdraw this bit of rust, but you won't be able to get the bottom wobble washer for the bearing fan out. You won't be able to get it off with your hands. So get something suitable to clamp the shaft and then crack it off, and off it comes. There we go. So we have one very dry, very knackered bearing. Oh, that's good to see. On a really badly used example, they wear out. Mainly that plastic cap. And I did get some spares, but I flipping lost them. Got them somewhere. Oh, this side's good as well. Excellent. This is a very low use machine, you know. It's just dried out from, what was it, 1994, 2004, 24, about 20 odd years worth of use. To be expected, really. Now, we can't get, I don't think we can get that bearing out. Not on the carpet, I got told off for that the other day by Amy. If you're watching this, love, sorry, it didn't make a dent. So there we go, 2 knackered brush roll bearings. Then these end caps simply lever out, revealing lots of fluff and dirt and gunk and all sorts, which is fine. It's to be expected, really. That's why we're doing this. If it was spotless, we wouldn't bother. Well, I might bother because I'm weird, but only when I want to see how it comes apart. And there's the other one. Might be a bit of crud that should rinse out, actually, in there. Then we can delintify the activator, and sort of, if it's really bad, you just get your small flat blade and just sort of run it through the bristles, but this one's actually okay, so I'm not going to bother with that. Take all the fluff off, all the lint. That was over there, that's what locks the thing upright. If you have a leany one, that's worn, and that isn't worn. So that's good. And we're done! Hang on, let me pop you off the tripod. One Turbopower in bits. There is all the washable stuff. You won't see much because the door's open. There's all the non-washable stuff and that, but that's filthy. And there's all the screws. So I'm going to go get this washed up. It can dry. I might even, if I get time, I might even film myself giving it a bit of a polish so you can see how I do that. But the next time you see this, it will be washed and dried and much cleaner. But first we need to clean up this mess, don't we? But before we go, we need to clean up this mess before I get murdered, don't we? little impromptu appearance by the Freedom there, and there we have it. Next time you see this, it will be a lot cleaner. So, it's all cleaned, and some of it is dry, and you join me now as we mask up the decals for polishing, because definitely with turbo powers, probably with most other vacuums as well, and I have done it myself. You get that wrong with the polisher and it's gone. So I have blue painter's masking tape. Basically what you do, and I'll finish this one off here, is I have the top of my toolbox is sacrificial for a start, so it doesn't matter that I'm using it as a cutting mat, and you basically using little bits of tape cut just right, cover up all of the writing as it is needed. Is that going to be enough for there? Ah, yes. I'll start off on a fresh piece for you so you can see, because I've just started. Then I realised, oh wait, I'm supposed to be filming this. I won't film all of it because there's quite a lot to do. But just to give you an idea of how careful you have to be should you wish to machine polish a vacuum cleaner. Come on. I think I need to snap a new blade off this knife. There we go. All that stick there. Yes, it will. There we go. So, I have blue painter's masking tape. Hopefully there's just enough left on this roll to do this vacuum cleaner. 3M 3433 tape. If you said detailer's tape, and that's what I used to have it. That's where I have it from when I used to machine polish cars. This is left over from that. In fact, this is where my machine polisher came from. Polishing up the cars. Oh, I'll put that down and a bits of leftover tape. Let's just take those off. And this is, if you're a detailer, it's exactly the same principle as detailing up a car. I'll be honest, although a bit more fiddly because obviously you can follow shut lines and whatnot when you tape up a car, but on a cleaner you want to just cover up the decals and nothing else. Because even here I've got a big pad and a small pad. I won't be running the big pad over these, I don't think. Maybe on low just to actually get the gloss up, then I'll switch to a spot pad to do the actual shining. And I'll try and show that as well. Maybe not on this part because this part will take a fair bit of concentration, but maybe on one of the other parts that doesn't have decals and writing and so on such forth. Let's try this bit here. There you go, you can actually see what I'm doing now. So I've just got a bit of tape and I'll just take little chunks out of it with a sharp knife and just basically sticking it there. So we'll make, actually if I cut this bit off here, these two strips might help cover up the brushed edge cleaning logo, or in this instance the Boost logo and the underline from the Boost logo. Miele's as well. Miele's, I've taken the Miele writing off of S5s before with this. Electrolux don't seem too bad. I've been over a 500 series before without causing any damage, but obviously once the damage is done, the damage is done. It's all very well and good trying and seeing. Dyson seem okay to it. And because all this writing is just screen printed on, doesn't take much to take it off again. So if we put that there, look, that's the start of the Boost logo. What do you want? You want another little bit for the end of the Boost logo. There. Oh, then ever such a little piece for there. Will that corner bit do it? Yes, it will. Then we need to finish off the edge cleaning part, so we shall cut there and pull it off, and then we only need little thin strips for this, so there's one. There's one. Here is another. Okay, and then one more should do it. Oh, I'm going to lose that. No, that's too thin. We'll lose some of the end if I use that part. Let's cut that. Let's cut one of these a little bit thicker. There we go. Ooh. And then check it's all pushed down because you don't want to take it up with the pad, and there we go. Now you are going to get uncleaned, well, unpolished bits that will look like the plastic does now, all their swells, but it's a trade-off, I'm afraid. You either have them or you don't. So there's the hood. The only other bit we're going to need to do is all of this, so I'm going to stop now and get on with that because I won't bore you with watching me do all of that. And I shall see you when we start polishing. So, they're both masked up. And I have put a line of tape down the middle of the bag door, so we may hopefully see a difference, because I'm going to polish this one on camera. Well, this part of it anyway. Won't do it all, because it is quite tricky. You have to hold it in all sorts of weird ways. So I've got my polisher and my only slightly dirty pad, and what's left of my bottle of polish. I do have some more polish en route, but again we should have enough to do this part, so I've had these for years. So I'll stick a bit of polish on the pad, like so. We shall do we'll do this part first, and I'm going to have to sit my leg over it to hold it. So we'll spread the polish about, and with the machine on low, oh wait, you can't see, there we go, I'll show you afterwards. With the machine on low, we get going. Noticed, but we nearly lost a piece of tape there, look, but it was alright in the end. So there we go, that is now, it's not even focusing, that is now covered in polish residue, which we need to buff off with a nice plush microfiber cloth, and hopefully underneath we won't see perfection. I think I'll put some of this back in. There we go. But it should be vastly improved. If you look at the light, it's still there. In fact, I think I might actually go and get a brand new microfiber, because, and it hasn't got rid of all the damage. Like, there's a scuff there that you'll never get out. And you can see there, look, where the finish, well, it's not finished, it's just moulded into the plastic, but in the mould, there's a bit of a run. But, basically, it's much improved. Focus. And that's all you want. It's like that there looks a lot better, as it does. I mean, there are quite a few holograms in there. We can refine those out later, although there's probably no need. If it was a car, you would, but it's not a car, so we won't. Basically, looks a lot better. So I'm basically going to go around and I'll do the whole. In fact, I know what we can do. We'll peel the tape off. That's the whole idea. Because it doesn't. This is where, I mean, you're not looking for perfection, but you can see the difference. And trying to hold it so you can see it, that is a lot deeper and greener than that, and the flake pop is much more pronounced as well. There we go. Look, and yeah, it's not perfect, especially now looking at it through the camera with the lens, so we might do something about that another time. Basically, I've got to go and do that to all of these blue pieces. All of those need doing, so I shall turn the camera back on when I am done. And here we are. A couple of days later, everything is washed, as you saw. First time I've done that. I hope I don't get a copyright strike for this video, because I've used some copyright-free music from YouTube. So if this video suddenly goes down, you know what's happened. If it suddenly goes down, I'll have to cut that bit out, or redo it silently, or do some rubbish narration. Anyway, so everything is laid out. All the little parts, all looking lovely. All the little bits and bobs. The plastic came up near over very well. So here is the back chassis. Well, this isn't everything actually. Ooh, I saved the best till last, because I forgot about it. It's up here out of the way safely. This is the bag door. You have to read you the picture I just took. Yes, there's the bag door. Look. Ooh. The metallic fleck looking incredibly lovely. And now we're going to have to put this together. So let's start with the motor. So we shall start with the motor, which I have all just over here behind my leg, and the armature, which is over here. Now the first step is to fit the cooling fan, and this goes on with that part down, so it stands it this end, so it stands it off the most of it, and that literally just pushes on until it lines up with the green part there, although we can refine that if needed. Next I have two, and actually I'm running out of these, brand new bearings. The bearings that you need are, he says trying to find them, they're 608Zs. They're on eBay, so if you find yourself in need, you can get them. However, you will only get them as far as there. So what I do, and I imagine some people, Mr. Keith, might fry at what I'm about to do, but I'm going to hammer. We've got some blocks, the steps, and at just the right angle, and being incredibly gentle, you can just tap the bearing onto the shaft, like so, with very minimal damage. There's a little bit of scuffing, but it works very well. Short of if you have a proper bench, drill a hole so it keeps it better. I don't have that luxury. To test it, we need, let me just readjust slightly to assemble this top part ever so slightly. So we pop the washer in, which is a bit of a pain to sit flat. Oh, now it's caught. There we go. And the spring. So you put the washer and the spring in, and then basically push that all the way in, and it should turn really smoothly. If that fan catches on the top of there, you need to back it off a little bit. But we seem to be okay. So we know that this part is okay now, so we can start to build up the motor. So starting with the fan case itself, we need to pop its bearing in, and it should push down by hand, but if it doesn't, give it a little tweak with the armature, which will just push it down square. Then we can refit our slightly disformed but still perfectly acceptable spring clip. You basically just push that down and it will go. So it hasn't got to be perfect because the weight of the armature down on it will sort it out. So we'll check that spins. Yep. Oh, look at that. Lovely. This is a very satisfying job indeed. Next we need to put the carbon brush holders in. So this is the tab that clips them in, and you basically just push it in until that part comes out, and then bend this tab back up again, because we'll need that in a second. So we'll do the same with this one. So I'll bend this one up a little bit, push it through so it clips up, and then just up with that. Next we need to put the coil in, which I've cleaned up quite nicely, and it goes in here. But you then need to line up these clips, so to make sure that they're bent roughly in the right place. And I always find you can get one side roughly in place, pop it down, and then push the connector on, and the other side is a little bit fiddly, but with a bit of teasing and maybe some manipulation. This is pushed back too far. Hang on. Once it's on, so you don't, it's just a case of literally getting it lined up. Come on. There we go. Like so. So they are now clipped in place, I'm fairly sure. So what can we do next? We can now fit the armature. This is the other test that you've got to do. You then got to check that this fan clears that top bit. Now don't worry if it's not smooth, because this needs to be perfectly level, and obviously this isn't being held in by the top bearing, so it will catch on the coil, but that's fine because now we can put the top on. Now we need to find our scratch mark. Where did we put our scratch mark? There it is. There's our scratch mark. Ooh. Okay. And where is it on here? there it is. So I've lost this flipping one now. That is as the motor was, and once it's on, that spins an awful lot better. So we shall get our screw card, which I have behind me, and pop all the screws in, basically. And this bit's very satisfying because this bit pulls the whole thing square and in theory should spin buttery smooth. Should. Whether it will is what we have to find out. Basically with a turbo power motor you have to just put it together and then try it. Not really any other way to do it. So you're nicely in. Let's do this one. And this one. And then I think this one still needs a bit of, yes it does. And now hopefully that should spin as smoothly as you like. Now we can put the carbon brushes back in. Oh, I'm tangled. No. Come on. Let go. And they simply slide down. And then hold the spring down with your finger. Ish. Or the tip of your screwdriver. And then again, very gently push the caps down. If you snap those off, the hack is you push the spring down just a little bit further and you crimp the edges so it holds the spring down. It's a bodge, but it works. A couple of mine are like that because you can't buy the carbon holders on their own. That's why you've got to really push down carefully so you don't snap. They're very thin. I think it's brass. There we go. It will now click a little bit because obviously we have now applied some carbon brushes. So let us put the bulb back on, which, oh, I can't actually remember which way the bulb holder needs to go. It needs to go. The way to do it is if you sort of line up where the motor goes, it needs to go that way so it faces up. And we'll pop the little screw in. And we shall now see if our writing on the motor actually made sense. So, we have two reds and a brown. Now this is going to be ever so slightly annoying because I didn't actually write down which red was for the bulb and which red wasn't. Bum. Well, we'll do the browns first. Because they're easy enough. Now, okay, I think, yes, this red goes this side, clips up through there, somehow, and then goes to that side of the suppressor, with this brown going this side. So this red will come down to here. I might check that before this video is out. I'll carry on for now because we can change it once the motor's back together. But I just want to check that because I can't actually remember. To go back through the video and confirm. But we'll assume it's correct for now. And we'll plug it in because we're way off being able to turn it on yet. There we go. There we go. I'll check the wiring. I will. Next we shall put the red and silver spacers in. The red one goes on top. Then we shall get our fan and fit our fan. Obviously you need to then hold, you can turn the belt spindle if it's easier and hold the fan still. And this is going to be another checkpoint because this should pull everything in line because it has to be quite tight. I do have the wrong screwdriver, but ow, got my finger caught. There we go. Now we need to put the fan case on. However, before we put the fan case on, we are missing some sealant, so let's go and get that. Right, so I've moved the camera angle now, and using the handy hole that is punched in the top of my toolbox, we need to get some, well, I've got Tommy Walsh's DIY Time bathroom acrylic sealant, but any old bathroom sealant will work, because all we want to do is just lay a nice bead all the way around the groove of the fan case. I must say black does look nicer, but Hoover used white originally, so we're not being terribly unoriginal here. And before you do this, you must double, triple check that the motor spinners are wiring. We can sort out afterwards. But if you've got to take the motor apart, you've got to take the fan case off. So you'll then ruin all your lovely siliconing, or not so lovely in this case, because this is quite old and not flowing quite as freely as I would like, but it is doing the job. There we go. Then once you have your horrible looking bead, we can fit the fan case, bit of kitchen roll, wipe around the edges. I mean, again, although it's not neat, nobody's ever going to see it, and you have the satisfaction of knowing that you've sealed it up. So this is 6 of 1. We'll wipe it all off nicely. Look. There's people looking at this and go, oh, that Beco, look at the mess he makes. There we go, that'll do. And then before it falls off, we can fit our 3 spring clips, which only go on one way, so it's quite easy to work out which way they go. And we'll put one here. And there we go, one rebuilt Hoover Turbopower motor. Turbo masters are identical, if that helps anybody out. Right, let's move on, although I'm going to check the wiring quickly. So with the motor done, and that seamless pause that you probably didn't notice because it was so great, we can get on with the base. And I think we shall start by popping the wheel end caps on. It's simply a case of lining up the 3 prongs and pushing. Not much more else than that to do. Obviously if we'd had the wheel off, we need to put the wheel on, but I didn't want to mess around with those horrible clips. Next, the bumper, which just slides over the top, making sure it is clipped in fully at the back. I'll clip this end in first. There we go, there's one, two, and then a bit of a tug to get the last bit in, and there we go. Next we shall fit these two parts of the slider, this end of which goes here and this end of which goes here, with the tab for the knob at the front, and we'll pop its little screw in all nice and nice. There we go. Back underneath, and we shall actually fit this flap next, because I need to remember. Ooh, I can't remember where the. Oh, it does go there. We'll fit the spring first, which is the wrong way round. Fit the spring first, and then put the other end through the bit that holds it on, like, where are you? Like so. He says, come on. There we go. Aha. And then that can drop into there, like so, and then that can go back to pushing itself very nicely that way. We can then pop the wheels down and fit the retaining spring clip. And the easier way to do that is to put the two ends in and then just basically manhandle it under the clips, like so. And then in theory we have fully working height adjustable wheels. Back up to the top, and we can pop the spring for the pedal release into its hole and drop the, he says it's not going to plan. Come on. The release pedal sort of clips into a little hole either side. There we go. It will be a bit iffy for now because it's held in by one of the motor clamps, which I think we shall put in next. So this bit of foam that we took out earlier, I'm not going to glue it in because it's held in by the motor. It can just sit there. Next we need the motor, and we need to fit the bellows. So fiddly, but you'll get the idea. Is basically just manhandle them on. Maybe with, if you haven't mislaid it like I have, using a little screwdriver just to pull it over, like so. This is quite, this bit is a little bit tricky, especially because it's clean now, so the rubber grips really well, which is what you'll want because there'll be no suction leakage from it, but it does make replacing it a bit of a faff, but eventually it just goes on like so. Then you need a long cable tie, and you need to put the cable tie on. Now, handy hint, if you put it this way, so the square of the cable tie is at the back, it will catch on the back of the chassis every time you recline the cleaner. One of my Turbopower Juniors does it, because I haven't got around to fixing it. So put the cable tie at the front. There we go. Let me just slip that off. That way you don't catch it every time you recline the cleaner. Next we need our two much cleaner motor rubbers. This one especially needs to be spotless because it's what seals the suction. And again, the easiest way is to fit this one to the machine first, and there's a little notch that lines up with the housing. This one also has a little notch, and it lines up with the notch on the fan case. So all quite simple. Then, using nature's lubricant, saliva, pop that end in first, and then, using the flex of the rubber to help you, drop the whole motor in, give it a bit of a wiggle to centre it up, and fit the big clamp. Like so, with 2 screws here. Marvellous. And there we have it. One motor. Now, I think we might have fitted that the wrong way around, because I'm now going to turn it back upside down and it might fall apart. But next, we need a brush roll, 2 end caps, 2 bearing caps, 2 felt washers, the axle, the belt guard, what else? The bearing carriers, and the base plate, which I shall put down there for a second. I think that's it. Oh no, and the 2 wobble washers for the bearings, and 2 nice new shiny agitator bearings. These are on eBay. They are just Hoover agitator bearings. These are in everything. From my 375 has these, so they are literally everything. Makes them incredibly easy to get hold of. So, well, we may as well fit this. This just slides in there. Done. Out the way. Nice and simple. So you take an end cap and you pop a wobble washer in. Then you put the bearing dome side up into there. Pop the felt cap on. If you haven't got these, it's not mission critical. A few of my machines are missing them. In fact, it might even be easier to put the felt washer, which I haven't really washed because I didn't want it to disintegrate, into there. It doesn't really hold itself in either. Then put the axle through and then pop an end cap on. It all sort of falls apart a bit, but that's fine because it'll all sort itself out. Now, this is a keyed system, so the furthest from the belt is actually this one here. The other side is just round. So you rotate your belt to the correct you rotate your brush roll to the correct orientation and push this side in. Then you do pretty much the same on the other side, just obviously now holding the whole thing up. So wobble washer, bearing, felt pad into the plastic cap, and drop that down. Then screw the end cap on, then tighten everything up nicely. And you should have a completely, it's a little bit tight, back it off, but I'll be honest, that tightness is those new bearings needing to wear in, because they're not loose. If it free spins, I'll be honest, your bearings are too loose and you'll get noise. That is just the right amount, I think, of play. Now we need to put the belt in, but we don't want to put the old belt in. No, no, no. I went into the shed of broken dreams, and I have several 100 turbo power belts. However, not many genuine ones. I have a few packs of genuine ones, but they're upstairs in my special stash. But I do have one genuine one that came from a chap on Manchester Vax, actually sent me a load of parts, so we shall use this one. Now, what is this machine called? It is a U2718. Can we use these belts? U2716. There we go. Yes, we can use this belt. So, this is why the Bosch roll didn't turn very well. And I'll be honest, of the Turbopower's age, this is, I think, the #1 reason that they don't work very well when you get them. Why most people go, oh, that's rubbish, I'll get a new Hoover. Because, as I'm sure most of, certainly the collectors, ooh, I've lied completely to you. That's the flipping. Right, swap them round. Belt side. Belt side is the slotted side. Whoops. Hey ho, 2 seconds. Always check. Better than I did. Good, that's still 3 spins. Right, where were we? Belt on. Then basically, if you're a weedy little girl, sexist, this might be a little bit difficult. If you're a big strapping Scottish lad like Mr. David Fowler is, it'll be easy. Centre it all up. Put the Hoover logo at the top just to look good on the video, that you're not using a pattern belt, although my next Turbopower refurb will be a pattern belt because A, I've run out of genuine ones, B, they're quite expensive on eBay. I mean, you occasionally can pick up, I always have a look, you can occasionally pick up a nice old style pack of belts cheap, but even when you're at postage is normally £3. And it's just a bit much, so yeah, I think I shall be starting on my stash of pattern belts, especially for the use these machines get, especially in my care, and I think anybody else's, it won't be too bad. I mean, even in use it'll be fine. They're so cheap, especially nowadays. Grab them while you can. I've got several packs up in the loft, but they're to stay nice for special use in years to come when this stuff's really rare. So we check the base braces clipped at the front. So screw it down. Check the brush roll still rotates, which it does, and I shall actually remember I said I'd check the wiring. I did, and it was correct. So there we go. Lovely. Let's just put the height control up so it moves a bit better, because this part is for now done. What we need to do next is put the spine on. Look, it's all lovely and shiny. It's a bit of, there's still a little bit of marring, and you can't see it in person. There are a few light surface scratches still, but can't do much about that. Now, I did say that I would grease these up, but for now I'm not, simply because I haven't got my grease out. So they will be greased up, but just not right now. I'll have it all apart, because obviously if I'm posting it, I'm going to take all this off anyway, so I probably won't grease it. I shall tell the chap who's having, Steve, grease your hinges. Now this part needs to fit on here, and you'll notice that it only goes on one way. Look, if I try and do it any other way, it doesn't fit. It has to go on. And I had it right the first time. You watch me not be able to do it again. There we go. So it goes right on. Then, and this is the fiddly bit, let's try and get an alright shot for you. You just also manhandle the bellows up. And with this part pretty much upright, fit it, which is easier said than done, especially when you don't want to break anything. There we go. Lovely. The height knob has just popped out, which I sort of expected it would. We shouldn't have fitted it that early. Fit it now. And then, before you touch anything else, there's one, where's the other one? We'll pop the hinges back on. So we'll do this one first. I say the hinges, they only go on one way as well. I won't tell you which way because it's fairly blatant. Oh, bother. Yeah. Ah, ah. It's all going pink tongue. Not really. It's easy enough to fix. Right, you stay there. You stay there. You get there. I mean, in theory, just washing this should have stopped that squeak, hopefully. Find out in a bit. There's one. Do the other two. Where's the other one? Oh, that went through onto the carpet. That was like, I had butterfingers tonight because it's late. Way past my bedtime, but I'm not ready for bed yet. No. There we go. Careful doing that. So that has stopped squeaking. I'm just going to back these off just a smidge because they are a little bit tight, and I mean it should have been loose. So that one's got loose, but they shouldn't be so tight that you can't. I mean, that's not too bad. That you can't recline it. Next, slide the bellows in. They're not going to stay put. In fact, yeah, they're not going to stay put for now. Screw you. We need to pop the wiring back in, which is a fairly simple affair. We need to, actually, first of all, we need to feed the centre wire through the channel. Can't really show you, but you'll get the you push a cable through a channel. That's all there is to it. Then we can pop the auto flex winder in, and I'll just feed the plug through the plastic just to get it where it needs to go. It will all line up once it goes. Except this part isn't working bloody up. There we go. Ah, that's dropped down nicely. So I want, which way did we take this out? 1, 2, 3. We need these 3 screws here. 1, 2, and then the third one in the post down there. One, 2, and 3. Marvellous. There we go. Auto flex back in and looking good. Now we need to wire up this part here. So let me turn it just in case you can see it a little bit better. It's all going to be a bit down under, I'm afraid. There's not a lot I can do about that, but you'll get the idea. So first we shall feed this through and put brown to red, blue to brown. I don't think it actually matters which way round this goes, because a motor, as long as it gets current either way, it flows through and back out. So I don't think it actually 100% matters. And that tucks down into a little doobry there, as Mr. Roger would say, doobry. Then we need our chocolatey block, and this is a little bit fiddly, although you can pull the wires back up. You basically need to put blue to blue in one end and brown to brown in the other. Doesn't really matter which way you do it as long as it's done. So we'll pop the more fiddly double blue in this one. These can snap, and you know what, this is getting a little bit wobbly. Hope it doesn't, because I remember when I took it apart I didn't want to snap it. That's why we took the entire Autoflex out rather than split that cable. No, ooh, that's wrong, isn't it? That's wrong, folks. You can probably spot my mistake. I was going to end up putting the two wires opposing. That would have been a bit silly, wouldn't it? Hang on, let's back this off again. Because it's done itself up a tad, so we want brown in one side, he says. Blue in t'other. And this blue in the other side. Please don't snap. If it does, it's not the end of the world, but I'd rather it didn't. Oh, could you just go in just a little bit more? That would be ever so good. That's probably good enough. And then this brown in this side. And then the chocolate block is wired up, so, and you really won't see this, even I can barely see it. We need to screw the chocolate block down onto its little holder, like that. And then there's a little wire holding chase thing that sits down here once I tuck the cable back into its channel that it has fallen out of. It just sits down like that. And there are in fact two here that come out of the Autoflex that sort of badly push into a little channel. Ta-da! Now we can start on this end. Oh, bother. Can you spot my mistake? That needs to pull out. Oh, I should have slotted that end in first. Can we, if I remove this, to pull this out and release the cable? Oh, look at that. If you release everything, it's just enough room. Line up the two plastic tabs with the moulding and push it right down until it clicks. Feed the wiring through. We might leave that as it is for a second. We need this plastic holder here, which this part pushes into. He says, again, it's keyed, so it only goes in one way. There we go. And that sort of slots in there. What else do we need? We need the bag full light, which again, just anyway, because it's just current running through a light. Wire it up. No. Push it through first. That might help tremendously. Making sure, obviously, that the little picture is the right way up for the pedants among us. Obviously when you look at it, using it, which is on this way, you want to go, oh look, the bag's full, not, oh no, my bag's going to fall out. Then I think, I hope, I pray, we have done this slightly wrong, hang on. This part needs to go in first, because then this part slides on top of it. There we go, that's better. Blue, brown. Now we've got to tuck all the wiring back in that we had to take out to luckily make it work. I'll just pop these 2 screws in quickly. There we go. Once it lines up, it all drops down very nicely indeed. Maybe I should have fitted this first. Oh, foiled by a rubber pipe. Come on, you must just be able to slot on. Oh. Eh. 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 Clip. See, when you've done tens of these, I've got 20 of them, and they've all had this treatment, you still get it wrong. There we go. Oh, I might have to move. No, I won't. Because now we need some gloopy glue. And I'm hoping this is still gloopy and not gone solid or blocked up. Oh, there we go. Little drop there, little drop there. And we shall glue these back on. They came off. They can go back on. So 1, ow, 2. Let that dry for a second, don't we? Whilst that dries, why don't we? We'll put the tool holders on. Let me just put the lid back on before I catastrophically ruin our carpet properly rather than just a bit. So, put the screw through, finger tight, just get it started, and get the other one in. Oh, we've done it wrong again. The cold rewire's going to have to come out. Maybe pay attention to which order you disassemble it in. Let's get it in anyway, finger tight. Might just about get away with it with this very long screwdriver. Baby, you haven't got to be nipped up completely tight, just enough to hold it. Ooh, we got away with that, look. Maybe do this bit first. This one's not so bad. Okay, we may as well fit the tool holder to the back, which is again simply a case of getting the 4 screws out. What we got there now? locating the holes, pushing the polish residue out. Get out of the way, cable. And again, we'll put them all in sort of finger tight just to get it in. Once the top two are in theory, the bottom two should be lined up. Will they? Let's find out. I think they are. One, two, three, four. Marvellous. Right, back down with it. And we shall quickly fit the auto flex button, which has fallen out. And all that does is sit there and connect up to in there. Focus. So when you push down, see that pushes that bit of plastic down, and that bit of plastic acts as the spring, and that's what releases the cables. The cable's always being pulled, but I mean, if I pull it backwards, like so, you'll see how that works. There we go. There's a little bit of educational feel to the proceedings. Right, you're going to be dry enough now to go back on. So that just clips on there. It'll spring back a little bit because it's under some slight tension from the cable, but that's fine. So lovely. We'll start off the screws. Get them all in and level because you don't want to snap a standoff off. Stand off, 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 off. It all pulls itself down and clicks into place with the screws. There we go. Lovely. That is in place. Now we can fit the bag fill tube, but first with a little bit of nature's lubricant we'll push the bush in, then the angle piece. This is the later version. There's an earlier version which just has like a metal bracket that goes over somewhere. We'll push our tube onto there, and then this is when, oh that's a good view, we can put the bellows down. Again, this is quite fiddly. That tube is not right. I think I've got that bit upside down because that's not got. If I push that down, that's going to kink the little tube. I'm going to stop and for the third time flip around the bag full debris. Ta-da! Let's see if that is any better. He says, having just caught the flipping tube under the plate, there's a little hole for it, which I have just crimped. There we go. Marvellous. So we'll go back to this interesting angle, and I'll just focus a little bit down there, so at least it's not completely terrible. Hey, that's better. So push the bellows into the fill tube. I always tuck this little pipe the other side of the standoff there, and then we need the bag fill tube screws, which go on there. What's on the floor now? Marvellous. And that then holds down that part. Right, what shall we do next? Why don't we pop the hood on? But before we pop the hood on, there is something missing. Yes, there is. And I went into the shed earlier and got, there should be a third one somewhere. I have some dirt finder lamps. There was another one somewhere. Let's find out before Charlie does. I got a few out because I've had these for ages, and they would have been sat in a damp warehouse. They came from Qualtex. I think I've got the last one. So we'll use the one that's already fallen apart that I've taped up. Oh, can we use this? Oh, no. Look, it's not on here. Sorry, Steve, you can't have it. I'm joking. I mean, it's a different design, but genuine heavy duty. I got complained at on a Facebook group because I bought some cheap pattern older senior style bulbs and they didn't say heavy duty. They might not last at all. We'll find out. I bought them now. Then we, oh no, wait, we have, before we screw the hood down, we need to pop this little clip back in that holds the hose, and I'm hoping that despite this being a little bit broken, it will still slide up enough, and it has, to actually do some good. So we don't need to worry about gluing that in. Focus. And I don't really want to, because if I get the glue wrong, that's going to be awful. So that should be fine enough. Oh, I just noticed another big schoolboy error in how I have assembled this. Remember where the hood screws go, kids? Oh, for goodness sake, camera. Yes, the hood screws go underneath the base plate. Oh, bother. Bother, bother, bother. Hood screws. You can just about fit these with the belt in place. So if you are changing a headlight bulb on a Hoover Turbopower, it is possible, although not fully recommended, to do it with the belt in, although a magnetic screwdriver would help immensely with this task. These are supposed to be magnetic. What is going on? Ah, this has some magnetism. It's a flathead, but it just about holds it enough, it says, to dangle it into its hole and release. Lovely. 3, 4, 5. Oh, Charlie must be awake. Amy is wandering around upstairs. Right, sorted. And while we're at this angle, as you can see it, click. I don't want to do that. We want to keep this down because once we have put the height adjustment knob on, we can fit this. Now you can do this first. Taking it off, it is, as I said, easier to take the whole thing off, but putting it back on is okay to do it this way because you just push the back door on rather than the other way. You have to fiddle with the bellows a little bit to line it up. Now, why aren't you going on? You should be fine. Come on. I want to get to bed. Something isn't quite sitting right, and I think it's the back of these bellows need to drop down a bit. So we shall quickly pop them off. Bag fill tube. Ha! That was a bit more of a drop. Much better. So bag door hinge. 2, and again this should pull itself together a lot more when it's down. Don't want it to twist too much though. That hasn't found the hole at all. There we go. That's got it. Why isn't this side going? It is. No, it hasn't. That screw isn't biting. That must have been. It's just not quite in properly, so we'll have the whole thing apart. We'll take the screws out. And I'll tell you what, we'll put that side in first. There we go, that's bitten, so we should put these two back in. Get it started. Then we'll pop the bag fill tube back on, which just pushes down. Well, the only annoying thing is with these Autoflex models is that you can't get straight onto the bellows like you can with the non-Autoflex models. So a little bit of jiggly pokery is in order. But eventually, with a little bit of persuasion and popping the screws in while pushing it down, you can achieve the results. chairs. This one's not going. Lovely jubbly. Right, we are missing a handle. I do very much believe. Oh, we've also got this little cap here, which can go back into there. So, as far as the handle is concerned, all we need are these three and a little plastic peg, which I shall put up there. So, quite fiddly this, because not only do you have to feed all the wires up, deep-ish down are two plastic tabs almost that you have to line up. So we'll pull these wires out to stop them bunching up and getting in the way. I think actually that's not quite lined up. Literally it fits on 3 axes. There we go, that's just got it. And then you know, because the plastic clip hole lines up, and you can push that in, just give it a bit of a final going in with a screwdriver, fish all the wires through. Oh, do you know what? I can't remember which way the wires go. Best watch my video quickly where I do remember mentioning it. 2 seconds. There we go. So via the magic of my own video, blue, so plus at the top, blue, then brown, then red. Just like that. Brown, and then red. And the whole thing pushes back in, clips down, and that is our handle done. We can then push the handle into the cleaner. We'll flip it around, and we want the big silver screw in this part, because that goes into the metal brackets that actually holds the whole thing in. Then the smaller black screw, whose reason I've never actually quite realised, maybe it's to stop it from wobbling. That can go in there like that. We can do the cord up properly. Next we shall fit a bag. Nice genuine H4 bag. Yeah. Then we are needing the bits for the bag door, which I have just over here still, because this is by far the shiniest, nicest part of the entire project. So these bits, this part goes inside, this part goes outside, but the right way around. We line up the screw hole. Oh, this is the last screw for the entire machine. Check that works. We'll pop the air freshener holder in. The Sam's air freshener out. Then we flop the hinges up, line them up with the bag door. It's a bit friendly, in fact it might be better way doing it upright, like this. Don't know how much you can see now, how much I can see now. But you basically line up the hinges, brace the back of the cleaner and push very gently until they click. There we go. Well, we need to fit the tools now. The owner, Steve, apparently got contacted by the seller who found the original crevice tool, so I've taken my one back. So we shan't be fitting it here, but he does have it. Pop the nice washed hose back in, which goes upwards. And then clicks into place, and I'm hoping this does click. Yes, it has. Marvellous, that means that worked. Pop it down, push it in, and we are done. Doesn't it look better? It is covered in grubby fingerprints, but it's due a few more coats of wax for now. These do look lovely when they're polished up. Look at the reflection in that. Even the metallic fleck seems to pop more. Again, look, there's from the moulding process. I presume these are moulded. Yes, lovely. Right, one as clean, I should be honest. That's why it's sitting on, look. That's better. I reckon that is as clean, apart from there's a little bit of damage, but you know, you can't win them all. I reckon that's certainly as spotless as it came out the box. All we need to do now is test it. And here we are, the finished product. Very shiny, with lovely metallic fleck on the hood and the bag door. It is spotlessly clean, and basically it needs a bit of a wipe down just to get some fingerprints off that I've put on it from refurbishing it. But it is, apart from the crevice tool which the owner has, ready to go. Very shiny indeed. Look at that, look, you can see my garden, you can see the back gate. Lovely. But it can be as shiny as it likes. Does it work well? Let's see. Turn the lights on a bit, get some light on the subject. That works very well. As you can hear, the spin down is no longer rattly and horrible. It's got a lovely smoothness to it. Let's carry on. only slight annoyance is the hose isn't tight into there, but they do that a bit. But I suppose the biggest test is going to be what's it like on this carpet. Now, if you remember before, it didn't really do much, so I'll do it a few ways. I'll do it once in normal, say this side, and then once in boost on the other, and we'll see what it's like. And there we go. Oh, I just sat on my freedom. Whoops. So there we go. The very detailed, hope it's not been too detailed for you, I hope you've enjoyed it. Strip down, refurb and afterwards look at a Hoover Turbopower boost for somebody else. Hope the owner's going to be pleased with it. I hope you're pleased with it. I hope it helps you with your own turbo powers, because these are getting quite collectible now and can be picked up very cheaply. Car boots, Gumtree, eBay, etc. So yeah, if you're a collector that sees one of these, grab it and do it proud. They work very well when they haven't been neglected. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.